What brings you to the public library? A book, a tape, perhaps a chance to get some computer experience. How about a book sale, a hot cup of coffee and a snack? You'll find such a place at the Central Library, in the bookseller, used bookstore, and coffee shop. Great deals and a quiet spot to read and enjoy a special cup of coffee. The bookstore is operated by a volunteer group known as the Bookfellows.
Bookfellows are a group of individuals in the city of Milwaukee who are supporting the Milwaukee Public Library, the Central Library, and the 12 branch libraries. They're dedicated to helping the city of Milwaukee, and their choice to do this is to support the Milwaukee Public Library.
About 400 people belong to the Bookfellows. They operate the used bookstore and organize special programs such as Read Out Loud and local author events. They work to raise awareness of the library system and raise money for it. And many do that by helping out at the book card.
They take books that have been discarded from neighborhood and the Central Library and really recycle them and put them in a place where they're available to the public at a very reasonable cost, often at 25 and 50 cents. Plus they have records and magazines. The bookstore as it is really done by the volunteers, people from all walks of life who volunteer time and effort. Perhaps down the sorting room where the books come in, perhaps up here, perhaps they donate a couple hours a week, perhaps they donate time each week to support this area. In the sorting room in the lower level of the library, there's a group of volunteers who go through the materials to see if they're suitable and in good enough quality to be brought up here to the bookseller. If there are questions, there are staff here at the library that help them make those decisions also. They look at the quality of the book. If the book is damaged or in not a very good condition, they will not put it in the bookseller. Those materials are used in other ways. But they look for something that's quality, something that people ask for, something that people want. You'll find books on travel, you'll find books on gardening, you'll find books on family and handling your personal life. Lots of children's books are sold, and those are a great bargain at 25 cents each. We have special sales at each neighborhood library. Every other month we have a book sale, and we raise quite a bit of money for the Milwaukee Public Library.
Quite a bit of money indeed, about $30,000 a year, more than $300,000 for the library in the Bookfellows' 10-year history. In these times of tight budgets, the Bookfellows provide vital support to the library.
So it's a recycling campaign in a sense, because we take books from our collection that we no longer need and we sell them in the bookstore with our Bookfellow volunteer help. And then the monies that are generated come back to the library, and we either buy more books or we buy equipment or whatever we might need.
That $30,000 a year, would you be unable to do certain things without that?
Absolutely. We supplement some of our special collections. We've bought children's books, popular materials, some special scientific materials, just a whole range of basically books. The Bookfellows like books, and so they fund us well in that area.
While the Bookfellows are responsible for the books, the coffee shop is operated by the Wisconsin Women's Business Initiative. It's a classroom of sorts, a business laboratory, providing experience in the day-to-day activities of running a business. Providing experience in computer basics is another project of the Bookfellows.
And this fall we'll be offering a course in Windows with the same type format, helping people to use a computer, to know how to write a letter, and to be able to have that capacity. We hope in the future, in spring, to offer introduction to the internet. We look for the need people have, the need that they express. When coming to the library or visiting our bookseller, they give us a lot of clues on where to go.
If you'd like information on joining the Bookfellows, pick up a brochure at the Central Library or at any of the 12 neighborhood branches. No special skills are needed.
Life experience means a lot to us in Bookfellows, and we're happy to accept the experiences, life experiences that you've had, and you'll be able to add something in Bookfellows because we need people from all walks of life.
Volunteers are really important to us, and we have not only our Bookfellows, which are the biggest volunteer group, but we also have people who work with the County Genealogical Society and the Marine Collection, the Milwaukee Road Archives, and so on. Volunteers are really important because they help extend us into the community and help supplement our workforce to some extent.
There are many ways to keep the library strong. You can volunteer or show your support by stopping in to pick up a few of the thousands of inexpensive books that are available. They are big and bulky, but they can outmaneuver smaller fire trucks. They are tractor-trailer combinations called tiller rigs, and the firefighter driving the huge rear wheels is called the Tillerman.
Tractor trailers, to my knowledge, have started back in the 1800s. They originated in New York City because of their versatility and being able to maneuver well.
That ability to maneuver made the tiller rigs very popular when most cities had narrow streets, including Milwaukee in the late 1800s.
Tillerman was not a hard position to fill because, generally speaking, firemen like to tiller. It's just a fun job that everyone liked to do.
You did it yourself. You have some experience here. What was it like when you were doing it?
Well, they weren't enclosed. You'd have to actually go back. When I was doing it, you sat in between the ladders in the wide open spaces, and you're talking 10 below zero, and rain and whatever, you were in the outdoors. But they're all enclosed cabs now, so the guys are out of the elements like they weren't when I started doing it.
This is the newest tiller rig in the Milwaukee Fire Department, and probably the last. More on that later. Firefighters took us to a Mitchell Field runway to show how the truck, tractor driver, and tillerman work together. It's become a bit easier job since it's no longer like sitting on a diving board.
They put all new springs underneath in the back. They fixed that because it was like riding a bucking horse back there. You were just really bouncing around. The first time I rode it, I didn't believe it was that bad. Guys told me, strap yourself in, hold the wheel. And I didn't think it was going to be that bad, and it was unbelievable. Going through the serpentine was easy because I was able to see the cones, actually visually see them. When we got up to the part where we came to the diminishing clearance, I couldn't actually see the cones because on the angle when you're up there, you're blocked. A lot of your vision is blocked by the side of the rig. When something gets real close, you can't see it. It has to be out here. So that made it, that was the most difficult, was a diminishing clearance. Once I was into it, I was okay because I could stay straight behind the cab. But guessing where that first cone was the hard part. You have to pay attention, you know. It's not that relaxed. You know, if you're driving around in a city, just going down the street, you can kind of relax. But if you're going to a fire, you're speeded up, and you have to really pay attention. You have to kind of anticipate what the driver's going to do. But there are turn signals in the back that indicate if he's going right or left. So you have to watch those and be prepared to follow him whatever he's going to do. You have to do the same thing. By wearing the headset, you can converse with the driver at all times. And another thing that's nice about it is that you can hear any other runs that are going on within the city. It pumps you up a little bit. I mean, it lets you know what to anticipate when you get there, you know. So that helped quite a bit by having the headsets.
Mike Dunn was driving up front for this demonstration, and he knows what it's like to work in tandem. He too is a tillerman.
It's like being part of like a special unit, maybe, if you want to call it that. There's only a certain amount of guys who take up tillering and learn how to do it. It's kind of a neat position to have. Well, when you first start, when you're going forward, you follow the tractor. You just stay straight behind it. If he goes around a corner, you may have to turn out away from the curb or park cars, whatever obstruction might be there. Turn out away from that, and then as you come around the corner, you straighten it back out so you don't continue on your path, because then you bring the rig sideways.
What do you see when you're up there?
It's tough to see anything. It's hard to see parked cars. It's hard to see the curb. You've got so much of the rig out beyond your vision that you can't see the curb. You just have to know where the rig is. Well, if you have any narrow streets, tight areas to get into, it's definitely a lot easier to get a tiller rig in through tight areas, alleys, that sort of thing. You can make the turn, where even though the truck is longer, you can make the turn.
Many East Coast cities like Boston with their narrow windings are still major users of tiller rigs. As late as the 1950s, most of Milwaukee's fleet were tillers. But they're being phased out here, primarily because of the added cost.
You needed skilled drivers along with skilled tillermen to maneuver these rigs properly, and it does take training. And as the tractor trailers started to disappear on our department, we had a harder time getting trained tillermen to fill those spots. And it's causing a problem that way. And also, I did some research. The cost of a tiller rig versus a rear mount rig with the same aerial on it is somewhere between $75,000 and $100,000 difference in cost also.
This is the only front-line tiller rig now active in Milwaukee firefighting. The department has 3 older models that are in reserve and used for training and extra alarms. They're being replaced by trucks with rear-mounted aerials, but with no substantial loss of reach. Both extend about 7 stories, some 100 to 110 feet in the air.
There's no difference in reach whatsoever. The tractor trailer in its day was a good way to stable a rig because they used to jackknife them for stability. The straight bed rigs did not have that luxury of the jackknifing, but the hydraulic outriggers that we have today, it's like a mobile platform, and actually they're a lot safer than even the tractor trailers were back in those days.
This tiller is based at Engine Company 14, 13th Street on the far south side. You might want to stop and take a look at it. In not too many years, it's likely to go the way of the horse-drawn fire truck and be as common as these are now on the streets of Milwaukee. Water meter readers like Ross Brzezicki have been chased by dogs and irate people in their line of work. But their daily door-to-door activities always involve another more routine event.
Milwaukee Waterworks, here to read the meter.
This common occurrence is not only annoying to the meter reader, it's inefficient for the city and creates work for the customer.
Well, the problem is that fully half the time the meter readers went to get these reads, they just were not getting in. Working families were not home. Many houses, sometimes they just would not let a stranger in the home, so we were just not getting our reads, and then we were forced to estimate the consumption.
You did leave a card, but that wasn't always the answer.
Well, no, there's only about 20% of the time those cards are returned to us, so we still had a very large population of our accounts that we had to estimate the consumption on.
And what happens with an estimate?
Well, we either estimate too high or too low, and when we finally do get in and get an actual read, then there's always a surprise, and it's never pleasant.
In order to make the billing procedure more efficient and provide better service for its customers, the Milwaukee Water Works is converting all water meters in city homes to an automated system. It will eliminate the need for a meter reader to enter the home. You will have to make one appointment to have a new meter installed.
Hello, Water Department. Change your water meter.
The switch to automated water meters began late last year. So far, 18,000 meters have been installed. 28,000 will be changed in 1998. The 5-year program will convert water meters in 140,000 homes and apartments of 4 or less units.
Well, it's just an ordinary meter exchange. We are required by the Public Service Commission to do this every 10 years anyway, so we just take out the old meter, put in the new meter, and we can be in and out in 10 minutes if we don't encounter any particular problem. So it's a minimum inconvenience to the customer and a great benefit after it's installed.
This is a battery-operated device. How does that all work? How long does it work?
Well, we are required, as I said, to change the meters every 10 years, and we have an 11-year warranty on the battery, and we're even told by the manufacturer that most likely it will last about 14 years, but it is warranted for 11 years, so we don't ever expect to revisit the meter just to change the battery.
When complete, a utility van will drive down the street, activating a transmitter on the water meter with a radio signal. The meter transmits its ID number and reading. A computer in the van stores the information and later generates the water bill. On foot, door-to-door water meter reading will be eliminated when the system is fully operational. In the meantime, readers are doing both automated readings and home visits.
Our handheld computers are now equipped with a radio board so they can receive this radio signal, and all the meter reader has to do is walk by the front of the house and pick up that radio signal and just keep on walking. So we don't need to get in at all.
How many will the vehicle be able to get? How many will the reader on foot be able to get now?
Well, the reader on foot, if we have a completely saturated route, upwards of 400, perhaps 500 a day. When we're using the van to read, we can do between 12 and 15,000 a day.
How does that compare with an old system, what we've had?
Well, what we've had now, we do maybe 140 or 150 a day per meter reader. Those are visits. Those are not reads. Still, half of those we don't get the read. So.
No job losses are expected because of the changes, which started in areas with the highest number of estimated bills. The city is moving north and south from the downtown. You'll be notified by mail when the installers are in your neighborhood.
Well, we are sending letters in advance when we're moving into a neighborhood. We're asking our customers to call us to make an appointment, and once they do, we really hope that they keep those appointments. Sometimes we come out and find that, the customer is not there even though they have an appointment. So it's really to the customer's advantage to keep the appointment, to call us and make the appointment, and we will accommodate whatever time that they set, whether it's an evening time or a Saturday time. We'll be there to do the installation at their convenience.
The automated units require no service calls or maintenance unless the radio signal is somehow interrupted. The meter will only respond to the Waterworks computer. The conversion will make the process more convenient and accurate.
Efficiency and better service for the customer. No, we will not have to estimate their consumption any longer. No one will pay for any water that they have not used, so it's a real benefit for our customers.
All done. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I know.
As you travel throughout the city, how often do you take notice of the hundreds of outdoor sculptures? The variety, the history, the names. Some, like the calling, have been controversial. Many, like the letter carrier's monument at Wells and Plankinton, are easily missed as we rush by. Some are lighthearted, like this bolt of lightning at 15th and Canal. But many are also in trouble, damaged, worn, corroded, and in need of repair and restoration.
Some of these things, are obviously very, very wonderfully crafted and done and need to be preserved if we're going to preserve not only our heritage, but what we are as a people.
A couple of years ago, the Milwaukee Arts Board joined in the Save Outdoor Sculpture project of the Smithsonian to inventory and document the condition of outdoor sculpture across the country. About 100 volunteers surveyed over 200 monuments in Milwaukee County.
One of the goals of the project was to identify the pieces that were at most risk in our community.
That led to publication of Milwaukee's Dirty Dozen and a response from the community. The statue of poet Robert Burns was the first to be restored by Milwaukee's St. Andrew's Society in 1994. In 1995, the statue of Leif Erikson in Juneau Park was stabilized and restored by the Sons of Norway and Milwaukee County. In 1996, Solomon Juneau, Milwaukee's founder and first mayor, was restored by a French alliance and Northwestern Mutual. That leaves 9 on the Dirty Dozen list. 3 are equestrian statues. The bronze monument of General Kosciuszko at 9th and Lincoln has serious structural problems.
Corrosion, as well as the von Steuben, which is over at Lisbon and Sherman. And those 2 pieces are very close to the roadway, so they suffer from a lot of automobile emissions, which causes a corrosion to appear. And so often we think of these statues as being green, and that is because of the corrosion, that the patina has turned green. Originally, most of these were a brown color. This piece, which is my favorite equestrian, is of Erastus B. Walcott, a Civil War hero. And it's in very delicate shape because of the fact that it has chlorides in it, and the chlorides come from the environment, and chlorides spread like germs do, and it is in great need of attention.
The boulevard at 9th and Wisconsin, known as the Court of Honor, has both the oldest and the most at-risk monuments on the list.
And the very first public monument was given to the city by Elizabeth Plankington, and that is George Washington. And she felt that people should, in Milwaukee, particularly immigrants, should have this statue to look at. It has a lot of need for restoration. After all, it was installed at that place in 1885 and stood kind of where the trolley cars, and now the cars have gone ever since. And the second one is the Spanish-American War hero, and that is a lovely piece that is very, very light green because it is very corroded and needs a good cleaning. The last piece, which is the most important monument in our state, is the statue that is the most at risk. It is splitting apart, and I'm very concerned about it. Several critics, art history critics, said that it was one of the best Civil War monuments ever done. So we'd certainly like to get that restored, and that's kind of on the top of the Dirty Dozen list.
And the last of the 10 within the city limits is the statue of Henry Bergh, founder of the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals. The bill to restore these monuments will reach into the hundreds of thousands of dollars and will need the support of not only community groups, but governments at all levels.
It's very important because it gives us a sense of place. In my estimation, that's what Milwaukee people are very much interested in. They're very proud of their city, and rightly so, because we have retained a lot of very interesting cultural history.
Well, what we're doing now is phase 2 as prescribed by the Smithsonian. That is, we're putting together a slide presentation, and we're funding, I believe it's $2,000 to help in that effort, a slide presentation for, in this case, Diane Buck, who's the point person, to make available to community groups and people interested in seeing what the statuary is, what condition it is, so we can make a presentation. Then the hope is we can get other people involved in terms of dollars and volunteers to do something about it.